start with the red box, and then you go down, no, is the person living? No. Then you got to figure out what to do next. Who's the beneficiary?
Sure.
If it's to my wife, should she roll it over? If it's to a trust, what are the payout rules? If it's to a charity, what are the payout rules? If it goes to an estate, did the owner die before the required beginning date? And that tells you your next set of rules. We have to understand the rules, and we're going to go through these rules. Bottom line is, most of the time we're going to do a spousal rollover. Okay, most of the time you simply want my wife to roll it over like it's her own IRA. Now sometimes that's not going to work. When your client is in a second marriage, you absolutely need, and I say this sincerely, let the lawyer draft the beneficiary form. It's not just a tax risk. It's not just the risk of accomplishing your client's goals. It is making sure that that wealth moves in a way that accomplishes the decedent's objectives and comports to the client's prenuptial agreement and to, if you're in a community property state, to the community property rules. And in some states, spouses have rights similar to community property rights when their husband or wife dies. And in a first marriage, none of that usually matters when it's all common children. Okay? In a second marriage, it's, just every time I've been involved in helping in a second marriage, except for one time, which I remember, it's not gone well. Okay? People are fighting. And we don't have to go through all the Old Testament reasons why that happens. You know why it happens. But what's important is that you not touch that beneficiary form. But equally important is that the financial advisor absolutely needs to be the catalyst that makes sure all this has happened. That, yes, the beneficiary, the client met with his or her lawyer. They had a nice conversation on what they wanted to achieve. The lawyer drafted the form. The lawyer created a trust for the property to flow into so that my wife gets money for her life, and then when she dies, it goes to our children, or to my children. That's always the important thing. Now, so we have to be real careful. Now, first marriage, normally you're just going to do a spousal rollover. The problem with that is if the estate is very large, you may want to push that into a trust. The other thing that you need to put in the back of your mind, and don't let anyone convince you otherwise, if you're representing any married couple whose net worth is anywhere over $3 million or $3.5 million, and one of them dies, their CPA should file an estate tax return to get portability. Portability basically moves my exemption, my estate tax exemption, to my wife when I die. Now, why do I come up with $3.5 million? You're saying, well, Bob, wait a minute. The exemption's 5.4. What are you talking about, 3.5? Both Senator Sanders and Secretary Clinton would move. They obviously cannot do this unilaterally, but they would move the exemption down to $3.5 million. So for the next 7 or 8 months here, we want to predicate all our planning on the exemption being at $3.5 million. Especially for somebody just died, I'm giving all my portability advice based on $3.5 million, not on $5.4 million. Okay, now after someone dies, then we use a life expectancy payout chart. Charities can get interesting. Normally, if you want to leave $20,000 to the Red Cross, you'll do it through your beneficiary form, not trying to weave that through your will.